Everybody, welcome to the sixth episode of Chess Growth Hacking, where we are going to host people who have already achieved a lot in their careers and are happy to share their wisdom and experience. Today, my guest is a man who not only has done what many dream of, becoming a Grandmaster, but he also helped many to reach there and go even further. Particularly his student, Gukesh, crossed 2700, joining the elite players. He's also a very humble person and has deep personality. Many of his methods are non-standard, and there is going to be a lot to learn from him. Please meet Grandmaster Vishnu Prasanna. Vishnu, thanks for accepting the invitation.
Thank you, Avdik. I'm happy to be here. Um,
Super. Vishnu,
so I
when
think
I
I've had
was,
some good predecessors in your channel, like so.
I'm
So
sure, I'm
happy
sure
to
about
be a
it.
part of this interview.
Sure about it will be. When I was
Yeah,
researching about you and preparing for this interview, I found lots of interesting things about you, and we will speak about them. But the one that fascinated me was the following: your student Gugesh, about whom we will speak more today, became a grandmaster at 12 something, right?
yeah,
And you, his coach, just started to play at 12.
yeah,
Many would argue that at that age it's already quite late. Maybe some chess schools will not accept you because it's late. But you not only did it, but also became a grandmaster. So walk
sure.
us through who brought you to the chess world and how this everything started.
It was my mother who introduced me to chess, and I was playing a lot of cricket, but we moved to a different part of the city, and then I started playing chess. Yeah, so it was around 12. Yeah, 12. I would say around that age. I think times were different then, and probably there were no 12-year-old GMs at that time. So, and yeah, so that's how it started. And Vichy won the World Cup in 2000, right? So that
And
kind
it
of
is
inspired
inspired
me.
you that yeah.
Not me more than I didn't really know what was going on. So it was my mother. It
To your
inspired my mother.
parents more inspired, yeah.
Yeah, she decided, okay, this is a good direction.
I guess many kids, yeah, that time who were born
Yeah,
in Chennai and in
yeah,
India switched to from cricket to from
yeah,
cricket to
definitely.
chess.
Yeah, I mean, he's been the main source of inspiration for Indians for many, many decades.
When did you meet Anand first time?
It was much after I became a GM, like maybe 5, 6 years ago. My respect for him grew much more after I became a GM. It's just how simple and unassuming he is, in spite of all he has done. So yeah, it's a pleasure to know him.
Uh, I met Anand personally in 2014 around. We were playing some tournament and there was knockout tournament. So my opponent in one of the rounds was Anand. It was the first time when I personally knew him, and he is absolutely one of the grandmasters that I admire, and
Yeah,
I wish many grandmaster will become like him.
yeah, yeah. I think even for Gukesh, Vishy is probably the greatest role model off the board as well.
I think Anand is model for so many chess players, especially I imagine for Indians and who are born and talk a lot.
Yeah,
I can imagine what the impact he has on kids.
yeah,
All right.
yeah, definitely.
Uh, Vishnu, the road to Grandmaster is very long, yeah, with many ups and downs. And in your journey, I bet you tried different ways to improve faster. So looking back, I have two questions. What is the smartest thing you have done, and what would you exclude?
Um, I think I had a tremendous work ethic for chess, and that's something I I guess that helped me. One thing I would exclude is my. I would like to have more patience at 17, but I'm not sure that's easy for everybody, but I think it's actually a necessary quality to be a very good chess player.
Patience, you
And
mean for becoming Grandmaster or during the game?
during both, I mean, there's a moment always where you have to wait for your results, right? You can't really. I think I often pushed too hard even when I was not ready for the result. So
This is very important. You just said, and I would like you to talk more about it because so many people, yeah, they are not ready for international master level, but they go to tournaments. I want to make norms, and then they are like
yeah,
international master level. They need still to learn lots of things, but they are going every tournament trying to make grandmaster norm, getting confused, getting frustration. So talk us
yeah,
about more about that important point, to how to try to be like objective, to have goals, but at the same time be objective and understand that you still need to learn to get there.
yeah. I mean, I think that's some quality you have to develop early on. I think, and or you have to talk about that a lot with the student. I think objectivity is, as you put it exactly, that's the right word I was looking for. Was that was something I was missing a lot early on, and something I developed and learned later on. So there will always be moments, you kind of have to wait for them, and in a way, even sometimes when you're not ready, you can have some luck and make a norm, and you'll have to be wait patient for the luck too. I mean, some people they are so strong that they'll anyway make the title on so. But when you're not so strong, you can go with optimism to the tournament. But you should not be too harsh on yourself if you're not too lucky. Sometimes your opponent also plays well, yeah. So you have to judge that for yourself well and with your coach as well. So I always tell, I mean, maybe with luck you will get it this time, or yeah, it's clearly you're there now. So now you're gonna make it. So you'll have to judge that.
Um, Actually, objectivity is a very nice word, but it's not mine. Uh,
Yeah,
in the previous interview, I was doing it with Ivan Sokolov, and I asked what are the one of the most important qualities to improve. And he said like
yeah,
the word that we both now, me and you, we have in our mind, but we like it was not coming. He said objectivity, and I was like, yes, exactly,
yeah, yeah.
objectivity to keep there. And talk
No.
us about your work ethic. You said one of your strengths was your work ethic. How you developed it and how it looked like your work ethic for chess.
Um, I think I was obsessed with chess at the time, and I didn't really look at the world, look at anything else in the world for a few years. So that kind of helped me. So I could keep working on chess continuously, and it didn't bother me. I think more than work ethic, it was a curiosity for chess. I think it's very hard to play chess if you're not very interested in, right? So
Love is important, right? You should.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because another it's too complex, yeah, and it's too psychologically demanding. And I think I had a certain naivety at the time. People constantly tell me I was late and all that, but I never thought about such things when I was trying to become a grandmaster. So yeah, I mean, naivety helps, I think. So
But also the
in a
love
way,
to chess, yeah, it was helping you to push
yeah,
forward.
yeah, yeah. I had tremendous interest and love for chess. Yeah, I still do. But both, I think it's a combination of both. I mean, it's not like you're working for certain hours or doing some specific training. You're always thinking about chess. I had a phase like that, I think. So I remember when I joined my university, my rating was like 2034. That was, um,
And
that's
how
how I
old you
got
were at
into
the time?
17.
So, okay,
And by 23, I became a GM.
6 years.
So, these 6 years, yeah, I think I had some certain amount of focus, which was, and
Going
work. I did a
forward
lot
and
of work.
going forward.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't really think about much else at the time.
Nice. And what happened? Like, did it was a one day or long term? Like you came to that you decided to switch to from professional chess you switched to coaching. How does that transition look like?
Purely by accident. I mean, I never thought about coaching till a certain point, but when I became a GM and after a couple of years, I was not clear to me how to go forward. I tried a lot of things, but nothing really worked for me, and I was stagnant, and I had to support myself in some way. So I was starting to coach beginners and so on, and yeah, suddenly like a 2200 player, he approached me asking me to teach, and I worked with him. That was like the first. Before that, I was really teaching really amateurs, like 1400 and so on. But when I taught this guy, he became like an IM in like 6 to 8 months or so.
From
I think, yeah,
2200.
yeah, yeah. And okay, then through referrals and so on, I got more and more people who were interested in working with me, and it developed like that.
Vishnu, you just said that one of the reasons you stopped because you couldn't push forward. You tried different things, but it didn't work. So you got to plateau, yeah, and then stopped, as with many happens. But then, after you started to coach, you successfully took to some people to 26 and even 2700. We will speak about
Yeah.
more about Gukesh later. But like, what did you find out later? Because you didn't find like what you are missing to go forward, but after some years you found it for others. Like what it was.
Um, it's like over reliance. I dropped my over reliance on methods, and I know I worked with the individual. I think individual is more important than the method, and I worked with that person and developed his beliefs and helped him become more self-aware. None of these things. I mean, at 27, my chess changed actually. So from 23 to 27, I wasn't really doing anything. I didn't know what I was doing. But at 27, my perspective of chess changed. When I went to with Adiban to Vacancy, actually I was seconding him there, and I think I was a terrible second to be honest.
You
Yeah,
made him to play King's Indian, yeah? Sorry, King's not King's Indian, King's
I
Gambit
made him play.
against So.
I made him play King's Gambit against So Wesley, Scandinavian against Magnus, and
And he never invited you again, yeah, to be his.
yeah, I mean, I think he was also happy to play this, but coming back and checking these things, we missed so many lines that the other guy could play, and it was so. I'm looking back, so funny, but I knew. I kind of we trusted each other. I mean, we had the same coach as a kid. We both were trained by Vishweshwaran. He's
Sorry,
from
by who?
Chennai. Mr. Vishweshwaran from Chennai.
Okay.
He's like he's a free trainer, and yeah, he's fairly strong. But we had the same coach as a kid, so that's why in the first place, Adiban, we had worked before, so that's the first reason why Adiban had invited me. So yeah, we were just good friends also, and we were we kind of gelled. I think we both knew kind of we were not depending on the opening and taking some risks, and we were both fine with that. Yeah.
With
So
just getting some
yeah,
playable position and play, yeah?
yeah, getting some players, and also this event, kind of. I was doing a lot of opening work before this, and also a lot of stuff like that, preparation and so on. I mean, but when I saw this, he finished second in the tournament, if I'm not wrong. I was thinking like, what am I doing if this is the way? If King's Gambit is giving you result, then what am I doing, right? So this is not something I'm missing. I'm doing a lot of openings. I'm preparing. I'm checking with computers and going and playing, but something I'm missing. I thought because just this work, even when this work is bad, this is like the super tournament. Yeah, this is like the biggest tournament in one of the biggest tournaments in chess. So, and he's finishing second there, and with all these terrible openings, right? It's not a repetitive idea, but to me, I thought I'm missing something. I'm missing something in chess improvement, and I'm missing something in how results happen. So yeah, and luckily I met my mentor now, Mr. Shrikant. In the summer. I mean, after 3 or 4 months after this vacancy with Adiban,
Right.
and
Tell us more about him.
he is around 2100 rated player, I think. But he quit competitive chess like 2 decades ago, and he's really into psychology, and he's read a lot. He has a huge library, and buying books is his obsession. And but he never reads them. I mean, that's also a joke we have. But
Like many chess players do, yeah? They buy
yeah,
books but
yeah,
never read.
yeah. So he introduced me to a lot of things and a lot of thought processes, a lot of philosophies, and yeah, and just made me think. Which I do with the students as well. Just made me think. Question my beliefs,
Question
right?
your
So I'm thinking,
beliefs.
yeah. So I'm thinking like if he's having such good results with bad openings, then maybe good openings is not the solution. So I'm already starting to think that, right? So I'm already questioning my beliefs of mostly before that I was doing a lot of opening work, like I said. So okay, and then he opened me to a lot of things which completely blew my mind, and a lot of people also,
For
like
example?
who he introduced me to Alex Honnold, and yeah, Alex Honnold is like a mountain climber who likes daredevil climber. He climbs mountains without a rope,
Oh,
and, and he's ready to face death at any time, and so any climb he could die. That's his sport basically. So not just him, but many people like that, and how they make decisions, how they it's not like there's one way to do things, right? So forget about the way and like focus on yourself. Why are you losing, and why are you, yeah, um, why is somebody doing well, why is somebody doing bad, stuff like that. um, there's a philosopher in India, Krishnamurti, J Krishnamurti, and yeah, something he Shrikant also is influenced by him, but he's like individual of him also. But he introduced me to him and to other philosophers, and listening to those things kind of gave me an idea of to think deeper about these things. And yeah, that's where it started, you can say. And I met Gukesh approximately 3 months after the same year, like July of 2017. So I got married the same year, right? So a lot of things happened that year, I guess. So I'm
biggest year for you so far, yeah?
yeah. I was already coaching some people, and but my methods are also not for everybody, right? So yeah. So
Your methods are not for everybody. For example, what kind of methods? I found that you are, for example, against engine.
uh,
Like
nothing like
you
that. I
make.
mean, actually, I have no methods, and I work. I mean, what I expect from the student is to be completely honest with me, and not to be afraid of me. I'm not like his teacher or something. Like to be vulnerable with me also. Like so. I mean,
To
without
show
that connect, it's
weaknesses,
hard to
yeah?
teach somebody. Yeah, to show weaknesses. Yeah, exactly. I have. I'm not against engines. I recommended. This is an idea. So I always recommend many ideas. So Gukesh was the only one who took up this idea.
So he was open, yeah, to hear and open to be beginner mind, open being vulnerable,
Yeah,
and open to learn.
yeah, yeah.
Do you think it's one of his main qualities that it helped me to go so fast to 2700?
Absolutely. I think singular quality. He has absolute trust. There's no reason for him to trust me after a point. After become 2650 or 2700. But yeah, he still comes to me. We're still working together. So he has absolute trust in whatever I say, and
But
We
it's
discuss.
something. It's not. You just get it. Yeah. It's just. It
Yeah, it's
takes
not.
time until you get to
Yeah,
that trust level.
yeah. I mean, for him, I think I don't know, but from the beginning, he was like listening to me intently. Probably not. It's not a quality that everybody has, but I think it's a tendency for him to first trust somebody well, and if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. But I think he doesn't doubt anybody who he works with in the beginning. He starts with trust, and then if it's not working, then he questions things. I think that's not an easy quality. I think that's one of his best qualities.
Um, your mentor, Mr. How to pronounce name? Srikant.
Srikant, Srikant.
So his mentor, your mentor, always made you to ask your beliefs, to look deeper inside yourself, and it just reminded me Richard Famous, one of the quotes. He has many quotes, mind-blowing quotes to me. Often I'm just even googling and reading his quotes and making to think again. One of it says something similar, and I think it's very 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 deep. He says, the problem is not that we are uneducated. The problem is that we are educated enough that we don't ask what we have learned. And
Oh,
what you just said, like asking the beliefs, and that Gukesh was always open to
yeah,
listen, like to not to say, okay, this is that, like no, like I feel it. Many even amateurs, they are learning some rule, like develop your pieces, and then like you show some variations where you move twice with same piece, and it's already for them. It's like, no, I don't agree with that. They are not open minded, and it also reminded me one of Noel Schroeder's blog. He has Next
yeah,
Level Chess blog, which I love very
yeah,
much. You know it.
yeah. I've read some articles in it.
Super. So one of his favorite, my favorite, his article is Beginner's Mind. Just how being in beginner's mind, it can always help you to go forward because there are so many ideas, and if you're just blocked, okay, this is how it works, and like certainty is the enemy of the growth, right? You are certain
Yeah,
about this thing, you are not open-minded, it stops. uh, and I think personally that it stops many chess lovers, like not just chess lovers, like in any industry, in any part of the life, just not asking your beliefs, not asking your looking deep inside yourself, not being in beginner minds, being arrogant stops them. So do you think this is
exactly.
one of the also one of the reasons that so many chess players are getting to plateau and then not going forward?
Yeah, now I think I can explain. How I trained is through knowledge accumulation. I try to learn a lot of things and so on. So that's the only thing I very new to know, and that's like how we trained early on. But Shrikant, he showed me that my knowledge is working against me,
Against
right?
you.
Yeah, so it's not always good to know everything and to be sure about everything. When you're sure about everything, you're not paying attention. Yeah, you're losing alertness, and so you're only when you're in a new environment, you're more alert, right? So uh, as you get comfortable in a situation, you can trying to kind of your mind trying to kind of tries to relax, and it becomes very familiar.
So you are
Yeah,
putting yourself always in uncomfort zones, getting out from the comfort zone and being there where you had to learn anyway. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, ideally there should not be nothing like comfortable, uncomfortable, but you're always paying attention, or at least trying to. Looking for what else and so on, something like that.
Oh, this is powerful.
Yeah.
So I believe you had like big impact, yeah, on Vishnu's psychology of being everything like open-minded and other. But what about chess part, where you work with, and still like till now, what are the parts of his chess you work? Is it everything together or just openings? How it works?
With Gukesh,
Yeah, with Gukesh.
well, we worked on everything, so nothing's. Um yeah, we worked on every part of the game, and since he became a since COVID times. He's also been working with Vishy Anand's Chess Academy, Waka. I think they've really helped him up his openings. And yeah, so but we work on openings ourselves too. And yeah, so other than that, yeah, it's not like we work on middle game, end game, nothing like. It's not like I separate chess like that. To me, chess is decision making.
Decision making, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we work on decision making in different portions. Right. So and also I have to emphasize that he reads a lot and he studies a lot of chess on his own. Right. I'm not going to sit and babysit him. He doesn't need babysitting. We're not going to work on in-game manual. If there's something in a book, he'll read the book.
That was exactly
And
one of my questions I wanted to ask. Like, what were you
yeah,
doing together with him and what he was doing separately?
yeah. If there's something in a book, if there's theory, in-game theory and stuff like that, if there's something very clear, he'll read it, and we will discuss it after. So there was a lot of things he was doing on his own. Even the openings, he was, you know, he's still playing the Shevchenko, and that was an accident actually. He called me like after during this Caruana Carlsen match, and suddenly he was playing Karakan so far at the time, but suddenly called me and said, "I want to play the Shevchenko. It looks interesting," and I said, "Okay,
Very
it's
opposite
fine."
style, yeah? From
Yeah,
Karokon to Sveshnikov.
yeah, and okay, if you are comfortable, you should go for it. And then yeah, he's been playing it still. I didn't really think it would last this long, but yeah, he's been playing it.
Uh,
So,
Vishnu,
so yeah,
about how many hours does he train? Like overall, like weekly about? Is it like crazy numbers or has balance?
mostly crazy numbers, but he plays a lot also. So he rests a lot, and yeah, typical work days around 10 hours, I think, for him. Maybe even a little bit
How
more,
many?
but
10 hours?
yeah,
Wow.
maybe a little bit more also. But yeah, he plays a lot of events, so on those days he's not working much, and he does take some off days if he's tired or something like that. He takes that call. I think one of my theories I've discovered is that I don't know, I can't prove it, but chess player improves when he's training it, when he's not training, and when he's not playing actually. So when he's just thinking about the game, and Gukesh does a lot of that actually. So even when he's not training, he's always thinking what is going on, and what is going on in my game, what is going on in my decisions, and
Is that
how. That's. I think he does that a lot more than anybody, So I think that has actually helped him.
that reminds me one of my last reads. I was reading about sleep, and I found that during the sleep, mainly during the sleep, we gain muscles. It was mind blowing for me. Like you go to gym, you do this all. Okay, you are like
Yeah.
also eating, but then I found like okay, you do that everything you prepare, but during the sleep is when you are gaining muscles. Then I found like you are even learning when you are sleeping. I mean, you learn
Hmm.
something, and in your mind the neurons are connecting, and it's similar to that. Yeah, you just train, play, but when you are rest, it's
Yeah.
then you become. It's very interesting idea. I need to think about it.
You learn a lot when you don't have a goal. I think. I mean, when you're training or playing, you have something specific in mind. But when you're just thinking about the game, it's very abstract, and it will take you to some interesting places, I think.
Yeah, abstract, very abstract, right?
Yeah, yeah. So when you're just thinking about a position or thinking about your decision, you're not trying to achieve anything, or you're not trying to prove anything. You're kind of looking at the position objectively, more objectively, I guess. Yeah. You don't take
Nice.
things personally in that situation.
Very like it's still like abstract idea to me. I need to think about it, like how like sleeping can help you to gain muscles and
Yeah, that's
learn.
actually.
So this idea, it's how it can be related to chess as well. Need to think about it.
Yeah. I mean, that info is also surprising and for me. Yeah.
Nice. Um, Vishnu, like you said, you have many methods, and also this thing you just said that he was often growing when he was not doing anything. Tell me please about that. Until he became on like quite top level, he was using engine very little or almost not using. Walk us through this method, why you made him to use engine as little as possible, and how it can be related to the moment when you improve when you don't think.
Yeah. To me, honestly, I think it was just an experiment, and I thought personally, it did not have a. There was easily ways to not use engines and play at the Grandmaster level, right? So around 25, 50, he was. I thought without using an engine, you get to understand how you are thinking, right? So I think I developed a lot of self-awareness in, right? So exactly what is his thought process, what portion he likes, what portion he does not like, where is he uncomfortable, where is he comfortable, and why, and so on. So when you turn on the engine, you kind of
You become superpower,
comfortable.
yeah.
Yeah, you're always comfortable, and it recognizes these moments. I think in order to, and also something very important is that in order to become better, you have to have interesting questions. I think everybody. I think questions are more important than the answers.
Yeah,
Yeah, so the engine gives you the answers, but it doesn't give you the questions, right? So
very deep thought again.
yeah, so in that sense, I think a lot of human chess and human behavior you understand without an engine when you think, right? So in that way, I think that was also an important reason why I recommended that. Yeah,
So
even the
you said
modern
that.
engine cannot do, you know, a lot of things, right? So from a human point of view, I mean, chess it can play, but precisely, but competitively we don't want to play precisely, right? So I mean,
Yeah, true.
practical play. I think practical play also improves, right? You get a better sense of practical play when you turn off the engine.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So
I think also the practical play, like when there are some people who are like very strong in practical play, I think this is one of the things that is very underestimated in the chess world, in the chess improvers who are trying to go further, like how important is practical play. They can get to the opening when it says plus 0.3 and they are okay, I have advantage. But they don't understand it's like practically impossible to play it. Or
yeah,
also, it's not just the you train 10 hours. It's how better you play. And learning chess and playing chess are very different, right?
exactly. Yeah, totally.
Re- re-
Um,
recently, recently, I was checking out my database of my old games, trying to take some examples for future courses, and I was blown away of the stupid moves I have done. Like there is a position, this pawn structure. How could I do that move? Come on! And then I'm looking to my rating. Okay, I hit 2600. Like no way, 2600. Like I did this stupid move. No way. And now, like when I know much better, much more about chess, much more than I had 10 years ago when I had 2600 level. At the same time, when I know so much, I cannot play 2600 level because I don't have that practical, uh, the strong practical game like the decision making that I had earlier. This is something
yeah,
that I think it's many are misunderstanding. Just learning, grinding with engines, making huge PGN files with lots of files. They think they know, but they don't understand the positions. They cannot play. They cannot make practical decisions, right?
yeah. I think that's one of the. How are you going to convince your opponent to make a mistake? This is the biggest problem in chess, and I think I used to joke with my friend. There's only one problem in chess, and that is what is my next move. And if you know that, don't worry about. Stop thinking and make the move. Sometimes we try to create something. How should I win and all that, but don't. I said don't. If you know the move, just make it. If you don't know, I mean that's something you have to think about. Why can't I make a move here? right? So if I know so much chess and I've studied so much chess for so many years, in chess it's very difficult to make a move that does not worsen your position, for a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, why is that? And you have to think about such things, I guess. I think engines, I mean, you get a lot of more questions to think about when you turn off the engine, I think. And practical play, I think that's one of his strengths even now, that,
practical play, you mean?
yeah, the amount of bad position he has saved and how he provokes his opponent and all that, there's a deeper layer to it. It's not really obvious with engines, yeah.
Usually, when now he's 2700 plus, like probably he uses yes some engines, like at least like it's how he keeps the
Yeah.
balance. How do you make it?
Um, he does work with engines now, obviously, but the balance is like I think when we work, I think it's usually me who has the engine, and in most situations, but he's also working a lot alone. So I think it's like fairly automatic for him to think now. I mean, he doesn't really pay respect to the engine, what the engine is saying, or he's not too concerned about it. As long as he's comfortable with the position, or as long as he's always thinking like that. What can I play rather than like what is the engine saying? It has become fairly automatic for him now. But yeah, I think you could lose a sense of practical play if you're looking too much at the engine. But I think like I said, he also thinks about chess a lot. He like which are of yeah, no direct relation, yeah, to any portion. Yeah,
Let me paraphrase this and tell me if I understood it correctly. Uh, does it mean that at first it's important to make the foundation of understanding the game and asking the questions to yourself, looking deeper inside the position, and then at some point you can switch checking with engines because engine will not take you. You will say engine follow me.
yeah,
Engine doesn't make you follow.
yeah, yeah. Okay, engines. One thing I can say is it's very hard to fight with an engine these days.
Yeah.
So especially with white, you have to the engine. You'll have to make the engine follow you, right? So the engine does not. There's nothing called a problem for an engine. The only problems for human beings. So you'll have to show what is the problem. So I think especially with white, you'll have to make the engine with black. I mean, if you're playing something that the computer does not agree with, which some people still do, right? Daniel Duvo or somebody like that, I don't think the computer agrees with anything he plays, but he still manages to convince it and the opponent. So
And the
I
opponent.
think that requires a little bit more effort, I guess, and creativity. So especially with black, if you want to play something that the computer does not agree with now, you need a lot of creativity.
You mean for top level, yeah, not just for like
Yeah,
lower
yeah,
levels, just top
yeah.
levels.
For top level, yeah. I think lower level doesn't matter much.
Yeah, you just in lower levels you just understand the positions. That's it.
Yeah, you just understand the position and try not to. I mean, there's another thing I always talk about. Like think about how much, what is the degree of errors you can make.
Degree of errors, strong.
Yeah, rather than forget about precision. You're never gonna have it. Think about how much error you're ready to make, and work for positions around that, and be clear about that. First of all, be clear about how much error you're willing to make and how much risk you're willing to take. At the lower levels, there's nothing. I mean, you can play anything. I think it doesn't matter at all. Chess is very different at the top, and yeah, at the lower level, it's very different.
Vishnu, many are doing these mistakes. They are checking what top players are playing. They are trying to copy them, trying to learn some very complicated openings with very complicated strategies, like Sveshnikov, for example. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they have very bad results, but for them engine is showing 0 0, they are okay with that. But at the same time, when they could play like easier opening, they are saying, okay, engine is showing point 0.3 disadvantage, I don't like this, and their rating is 2000. What advice do you have for them? Does it like understand the position is the most important thing? Anything else? What advice do you have for them?
Um, comfort and confidence in the position. You have to turn off that engine at some point. Even when you prepare the engine, you check all the notes. You have to turn that off at some point. I don't think understanding is actually so important because it takes time, and understanding changes at every point of your chess level.
Maybe
So
comfort,
more,
yet change the
yeah,
word is.
comfort, exactly. Comfort is the word, and yeah, if you're able to find some directions, turn off the engine and see if you don't hurt the position for like 10 moves and you're still keeping the position in balance. Yeah, then you're okay to play that position. You
But
don't
if
have
you
to
turn off
create
the
something.
engine and then you immediately make mistakes, stop it, yeah?
Yeah.
You are not in comfort.
Stop it, go and find out why you're doing that. Yeah, exactly.
Vishnu,
Yeah.
you just said that it was experiment with Gukesh that he doesn't touch engine, and it worked. He crossed very fast with the 700. So now it's not experiment. Is it one of your methods with your students?
um no, I don't. Nobody has before or after Gukesh has accepted that. So now, I mean, people when they come to me now, they know that I recommend that, but they don't want to do that anyway. So
You are open with that, yeah? That it's they don't.
yeah, yeah.
They don't.
There's nothing. I mean, I'm not going to the board at all. So they have to make the move. So they have to make certain decisions for themselves as well. So I don't influence things like that as a coach.
So you are trying to make them open, and if they hear, you tell them. But if they don't accept, there is barrier. You just say it. Okay.
Yeah. Uh, I'll tell them like what are the consequences of this, right? So overuse of engines, you will suffer from that, and if you do do certain things, you will stagnate here and stuff like that. And if you're only looking at an engine, I mean, you can't imagine how you're going to beat your opponent. I think, right? So because you never see a win anywhere, and you get the impression that your opponent is the engine or something. I think so. I mean, when people I worked with, they stop working with me and then they come back again and they're like, and they worked a lot with engine. And they're like so surprised. I mean, they've completely changed actually. So in a way that they're so worried that they don't know how to induce errors from the opponent. Most situations the opponent makes errors himself. It's human nature to make an error. But if you keep looking at the engine, you kind of forget that. I think
You try to be
it requires,
perfect,
yeah,
which you cannot.
yeah. I think it requires tremendous psychological discipline and awareness to not make a mistake. I think that's why errors are less in top level, but still there are errors, but they are reduced. If you're only looking at that, that can't be the only work you do. I mean, you can do engine work, but you have to do other work with that as well.
About other work, uh, tell me please if I feel correctly. I felt like Gukesh knows classics quite good.
Yeah, we've looked at some classics, but everything happened for him so fast. We've not been working like we're not like looking at. We're always looking at games of everybody, but only from the sphere of decision making. Not to study classics or not to do anything like that. Look at how Petrosian approaches the game, how he makes a decision, or Capablanca or Fischer, and what is a yeah, what are they giving up? What do they have? Only through that we have discussed classics. But he's read all those books by himself. I don't think his classics is that high. He can still learn them. I think there's more for him to learn, but yeah, but he's read a lot of the traditional books, and we have talked a lot about these players and how they think, their approach to chess, and so on.
Um, got it. Um, Vishnu, myself, for becoming the level of the coach I am now, has big impact on my previous coaches and not just chess coaches. I had kung fu coach whom I learned lots of things, poker coach, business coach, life coach, high performance coach, and from everyone I took lots of things for the coach to become, and still I'm learning. So when you were going to grandmaster level, you had some very famous coaches. Among them, there was Elisa Rubilava, Anand's former coach, Vladimir Chuchelov, Ivan Sokolov, and others. I can imagine how much they've influenced your chess and understanding and being a superior coach. Also, Mr. Shrikant later joined you as a mentor. What are the most important lessons you have learned from them? One you have
Um,
already said that
my main coach was
asking
always,
those good
till I
lessons.
became a GM, main coach was always Mr. Vishweshwaran, the one I mentioned from Chennai. I had training camps with Mr. Ubilava, Mr. Chuchulov, and Ivan Choklo, uh, arranged through Mr. Vishweshwaran. So he had encouraged me to, take training camps. I had one training camp with each of them, and yeah, of course they were all very different actually, and very deep, and very very, yeah, informative. Ubilava, I did Chuchulov's course of strategic balance with him, right? There's a, I think most professors are aware that this course exists, but and he had like a very clear picture of how chess works, and it's his theory, probably modern theory of how chess works according to him. And it was very interesting to me at the time. I know so many things I did not know, and I think definitely elevated my understanding of chess. Why, first of all, to approach chess like that, why to be concerned with how chess behaves, right? So I definitely learned that from him. With Ubilava sir and Mr. Soklo, it was crazy. I mean, at the time I was close to being a GM, but when I went to them, I think they were too deep for me actually. And many years later, oh, this is what they were talking about. I'm thinking, oh, right, okay, okay. So Mr. Obilava showed me some games, and at the point I didn't understand actually. But like many years later, I finally understood what he was talking about. And Mr. Ivan Choklov, he used to fight the engines like ruthlessly when I would be checking with the. I know I was an engine addict in a way as a player. So I would be checking with the engine, and he was be using his head ruthlessly and trying to fight with us. Yeah. So and his perspective, I think a lot of practical play is part of Ivan Choklov's training. He understands what works practically and what is difficult in practical play.
Sounds very
Yeah.
clear because he also talked about in the previous interview about how he's against engines, how he uses them little. It's about practical decisions, so absolutely resonates.
Yeah. I mean, you have to learn to use engines. I mean, if
At some point, yeah,
there
on top
can be,
levels.
yeah, yeah. Whenever you use them, you better know how they work. Whether you use them at the top level or the bottom level, you have to know what it will help you with. If you're using it to find the move, then it's that's not how the engine works. I mean, for a practical player,
Until
the,
what level you can go without engine? Do you think?
you can become a GM and slightly stronger. I think.
Cool. And
I mean,
what is
I
the
think it can go further, but
yeah? But still need to experiment. And what's
yeah.
the level you think that below that level, working with engine can be very destructive? What's that level?
Well, see, till you know like what is the problem and stuff like that. I mean, again, you should probably shouldn't use it till you're 2200 much. But yeah, nobody's going to listen to me. So what I would say is that
No, no, no. They will listen to you. This is why I'm asking this question to
no,
many
it's
people
okay.
like you, like Sokolov, because many are just doing different things, experimenting different things. But it's my project. I always learn from people who have done what you want to do, or they have coached people that you want to achieve something like that. I think it's one of
Yeah,
the main approaches of the further growth. If you are doing business life, like learn from somebody who have done. So this is one of the missions of this interview series is to talk
yeah,
people who are not just okay. I think this is the way they know they have done with their students. So please go ahead. I will do my best that people listen to this. So
yeah,
please go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. No, what I would say is that engine use is definitely detrimental in a way. If you don't know why something is a mistake, when a grandmaster finishes a game, he knows where he has gone wrong most times. And if you don't know that, then you'll have to learn that first, right? So sometimes there's a feeling that there is something there, but you can't find it, right? So at least you need that feeling, that feeling will not be developed by using an engine. So chess feeling develops by thinking, I think. So you'll have, if you're using the engine only to find the move, then you're using it wrong, I think. And yeah, you can't use it in the game to find the move. So you have to, in a way, engines are useful for evaluations, I think, at the least. But when you think something is equal, it's bad. You can learn why it's bad. But even there, even an equal portion might be difficult for you, for difficult for a human being, but it's equal for the computer, right? So you'll have to know how to use an engine well before you use it. I think that's like a course in itself.
Yeah, yeah, very different, large topic. Yeah,
Yeah, it will take. It's a lot of psychology. I mean, for a player to understand that.
maybe one day we can do a course together how to use an engine. I
Yeah,
think it's very important topic gonna be.
yeah, sure.
Um, I see that with your student, you are not just teaching them chess. You are teaching them psychology, life. Yeah. Um, and I felt that you also taught during these years Gukesh many things except chess. So I was like over, and I'm seeing how arrogant and ungrateful some professionally successful sportsmen are. They are like reaching something and they thinking that they did everything themselves. And later, when I was reading Ryan's Holiday, Ego is the Enemy, I got the answer why it happens and why people can't, like why people want to feel that way. They just have this ego, yeah. And in
Yeah,
contrast, Gukesh is always humble, and I proudly, personally, I retweeted his tweet when he posted a photo with you and said you took him on this journey. So,
yeah.
when you coach considerably young students, do you teach them? Clearly, you don't teach just chess. What are the other parts that you are teaching them? It's like how you teach them through chess, also making them human, like the nice human that lives purposeful life and is useful for the universe.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of his humility comes from his upbringing also. His parents have been great influences, right? So in this regard, I think the praise goes to them. So I talk about everything with them, and I constantly show them people who have achieved like tremendous things in life, and they are, and they see that they are so humble, and it constantly we discuss that we haven't done anything yet. We haven't made any achievements in a sort of way yet, right? So there's a long way to go, and also humans can, and also yeah, How do I explain this? Just that nothing can be achieved alone, but also nobody else can do it for you, right? It's a combination of both. So appreciate yourself, but also be grateful for the help you have received. And yeah, you're in a you're at the right place at the right time, I think, for most successes. And yeah, and of course from there you work hard. I've talked about everything and life in general, and so mostly with him. But I think we there's no question of yeah, we are very close. Even without that tweet, I knew that we had good relations. I think actually, that was my first photo with him. We
It
had
was
never
your
taken
first what?
first photograph with him.
Oh,
We had never paused to taken a photo. I think yeah, yeah, and in a way, you just you prepare them for life too. I mean, some point just ends, right? And I think for me, for somebody like Ukesh, he's abandoning everything to pursue chess. There's no, so I think it's very very important for him to have a wholesome view of life, and yeah, be very grounded, and understand that it's very long. Life is
it's
very
like
long, and
running a
there are ups and
marathon, yeah, not just fast
yeah,
sprint.
yeah, yeah. So it's always a marathon, and enjoy the moment now. But yeah, there's a long way to go.
Um, Vishnu, you just talk about Gukesh's great parents, and they helped a lot. So you work together nicely, and I think we all know that parents are like repeatedly doing lots of mistakes, interrupting in coach's job. Like, what advice or feel like what are the things you would like to share with parents? Like chess parent, yeah? What the qualities they should have?
Um, I think they should trust the child,
Trust the child.
and yeah, that's something I've noticed. And if you talk to the child, you have a good relation with the child, and it's not about results or something. I mean, if the child trusts the coach, you also have to trust the coach, I think.
So trust the
And
child and trust the coach.
yeah, I mean, I think in a way, there can be many coaches, and you will have to find the right fit for your child,
Yeah.
right? So because there should be like a personal relationship between the child and um, coach. But even if they dis- they disagree with you, you can never think. I mean, what one I do is I would say for in my personal experience, people who have trusted the child have done well. They've done so well. They don't bother with too much about what the child is doing. And but okay, maybe they were also responsible children, so I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, my advice would be to trust and see how the process goes. You have to give the process some time, right?
Don't immediately
So
seek for
chess
result.
improvement.
Yeah, just
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Chess improvement takes time. I mean, it's yeah. And if the child is happy to go there, he's learning something there, then stick with that. And yeah, the parents should not assume that they understand chess if they're not a competitive player. Neither engines or books or any course will teach you about competitive play. That's a different world, and maybe if you're a sportsman somewhere else, you will have some sense of it. But a lot of parents I see that engine suggested this, and even when they are 1200,
they are yelling on
like
the kid why you didn't do that move.
this move is +5, that move is nobody's going to find that move. Yeah, even grandmasters are going to struggle at that move. So that's what I'm saying. I would say that never you either coach the child, or if you have a coach, don't coach the child. Yeah, that would be my two main things. Trust the
Don't
child and
interrupt, yeah.
yeah, don't interrupt them.
And
You you
as I
you don't
understood, God,
uh, don't they don't understand competitive chess if they have not played competitive.
yeah. And do some
It's a
smart research, yeah, before finding the coach. Like,
yeah,
find the right one, not just okay. There's
yeah.
this coach.
I think yeah, resume alone is not important. There can be many good coaches. I think. I mean, somebody who has not had a successful list of students. Your child could be his first super student.
Yeah. Um, Vishnu, um, I come across something interesting in your interviews. You said the following. Let me read it. My belief is that the student is always a little bit smarter. So I start from there. It is not always the case, but we have to start from there, in my opinion. When I read it, it was like, what? So please tell me more about it.
Not sure I worded that right, but okay, I'll explain what I meant.
I just
Um,
copied from Shagar's interview.
yeah, yeah. So there's like, see, every child comes to you with a certain belief,
Believe, uh-huh.
and you don't try to change that too much. You talk to them about it. See, you have your own beliefs about chess. You have through your own training and experiences, and the child will have his own belief through his environment beliefs in. I would say that don't tell the child this is wrong, this is right, right? So you don't make the child believe what you believe.
Just maybe maybe teach them to ask
Yeah,
questions, yeah?
yeah, and also I think there are more than one ways to do things. Ask them to ask questions and yeah, find out what are the flaws. Help them find out what are the flaws and disadvantages of their belief system. But start, I would say, start with that. What do they believe? And most people don't know that actually. Most people don't know what they are not aware of what they believe. So first teach them that, and then whatever does not work, you work with. If you encourage them to explore their beliefs, then they will be more open to changing it, right? So if you say something like this is bad, then they will not have an they will not have a good reason to do something, right? So sometimes for I'll give you an example. Gukesh was very young and he was playing. He was not a title player at the time, or he was just an IM. I'm not sure. He was playing this Russian Belarus GM Alexei Alexandru. Okay, in a tournament in Mumbai, and he wanted to play this line like e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5, castle, knight f6, d4.
Mm-hmm. How it calls? What
Okay,
gambit?
yeah, some gambit, yeah, but slightly suspicion. Of course, black should be okay, right? So and also this was the time when he was not using engines. So when I was starting to learn chess, I had read a lot of Kasparov's literature and stuff like that. So my belief system was like only play the critical lines, only play the main lines. I've never played a Moscow or any sideline for a very large part of my childhood. So I play only the main systems. So we had only 2 minutes to talk. But he was so firm in his belief that he wanted to do it. I thought okay, but this was completely absurd to me. You don't have an engine. Your opponent is a classical player who's played e4, e5 all his life, and you want to play a suspicious gambit against him. And so these were all completely against my beliefs. But I said okay, play it. And then he won that game, but quite convincingly. And after that he had an interview with Sagar Shah, I think, and he was assessing a lot of positions differently, and he was assessing equal plus positions as better for white because he did not have an engine, and he was playing with that. So I don't really. There's no way to do things, So there I put up, this is what I mean. I think in a way, sometimes your student is smarter, and your own beliefs are against you. And
It's very
we both agree that he will not repeat that again.
at least you agreed on that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
We're
So for
coming
that
back
moment,
again.
maybe that was the best solution. Yeah.
So we're coming back that beginner's mind. We should be. No matter you are a student or coach. Yeah, it's always being beginner mind. Always learn. You can learn from students too.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I discovered that there are many ways to achieve something. So I'm very very flexible with my methods.
Uh, when I was researching about you, I already found that you're not just strong player and good coach, but you are a very interesting person with very different ideas, and you give lots of importance to psychology and life, not just being professionally successful, just being overall successful, being healthy person. Yeah. But during this interview, you gave me even more thoughts to think. Like after the interview, I like close and think about few of your thoughts. Thank you very much about it, and I am sure at this point, now many will be interested in a question like if you are accepting students now.
Yeah, I have some time, but not a lot of students. Like I'm still working focused on Gukesh, but yeah, I'm open to accepting.
And tell us about your chess academy. I found you have it.
Yeah, it's called GM Vishnu's Chess Club, and we're just opening up in Chennai. But we have a site called gmvishnuschessclub.com, and yeah, my personal email is reachgmvishnu@gmail.com.
Can they also get in touch with you on social, or is email is the best way to reach you out?
Email is the best way to reach me because I don't have any socials.
Okay.
So they can reach out through the website also, the academy email, and there's a phone number there as well.
uh, Super, Vishnu. Thank you very much. I got just one question now. As a coach, what are the skills now you are trying to sharpen for the next few years? What are the skills you want to sharpen for being a better coach? You want?
Um, I'm trying to make some program to better evaluate. It's a little bit like calculus. Breaking down a player's weaknesses and trying to evaluate thinking process and decision making, and trying to see find ways to better evaluate weaknesses, and and also different ways of presenting a position. um, you know it's hard to explain, but you can say I want to think them make them think differently in a simple portion, even stuff like that. And other than that, no, it's very individual. It's very individual what I do.
Got
the,
it.
the student will tell me what to do.
So they will tell you that. Nice.
Yeah.
Um, Vishnu, I want to ask you last question, but it will be quite open question. Difficult to answer because there are many answers can be. I'll just ask you three piece of advice to chess improvers. I know it's a big and general question, but for every level, the answer might be different, right? But what are the three very important things that are the same for any level? Like one, I bet is like be open-minded. Yeah,
Yeah.
I figured out from this interview. What else?
um, Trust your methods completely, and but don't be attached to them. Whatever method, there's no good method or bad. Whatever method you choose, it's fine. Even playing thousands of blitz games and then going and but trust that completely.
Really?
Yeah, totally.
If you
I
play
think
like
that's.
if your method is playing 200 bullet games, it's okay.
I don't know about bullet, but
Okay,
maybe
blitz
that's where we are
games.
stretching. Yeah, blitz games is okay.
Even if you are doing it
But
just instead of learning to just play, 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 only play,
no,
it's
you have to
you
revisit
lose.
them, right? So, like I said, improvement always happens when you're not playing and not training. Even about your blitz games, you'll have to think about, right? So, definitely, without that thinking part, I think improvement is very hard. That's why that's the most difficult part for adults. Even with dedicated training time, it's hard for them to find the time to think about chess, right? So,
Step back, go deeper. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, of course, at all levels, you have to be objective, I think. And what is the third one?
Okay, so but you already said the third one. So it's being beginner mind, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um, like third one, you said be objective, and second, let me paraphrase it if I understood correctly. Um, be mm, like trust your methods, but don't get
yeah.
be open to
Attach.
detach from them and be flexible to learn some new things. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah,
I somebody said like nice quote. Always know your why, but be flexible on how.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's brilliant. You put it better than me.
It's not me. I just read somewhere. I can't remember
Okay.
who said it. Got it.
Yeah.
Vishnu, thank you
That,
very, very much.
thank you, Avtik, and
It
yeah, it was
was
a pleasure
very,
to have this chat with you.
it was very, very insightful, very deep, and I hope many chess lovers will watch this interview. Also, we will make it as an article so they can also read it because there are lots of thoughts that can change someone's not just next move as you put it, but
Yeah,
their how they go it will give them lots of space. I think it gives me too to step back, ask new questions, step back,
yeah,
ask that question, step back, look at other directions, know the why,
yeah,
but be flexible on how.
yeah.
Thank you very much, my friend. Wishing you all the best as a coach, as a father, as a husband,
Definitely. Yeah.
uh, and wishing you to achieve a lot and at the same time stay true to your values and inspire many others.
Thank you. Thank you, Avtik. I hope I have added some value to your series, and
Definitely.
yeah, it was very happy, and I wish you all the best as well with whatever you pursue, and good luck. Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
That was mind blowing. So many deep thoughts. Hopefully, we will remember to always be in the beginner's mind and be curious. Stay objective and always know our why, but be flexible on how. Take care, my friend. Be successful not only professionally, but live your dream life. And remember, right mood generates right moves. So, right mood, right move. See you next time. Stay awesome.